because there's again the attempt to bring people from different traditions also together and hear each other out. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be the first presenter, so I will start my presentation. Okay. Can you see this? Okay. So I'll present the development and prospects of qualitative psychology in Korea. So we will have a Taiwan and Chinese mainland and Japan too. I'm Sunny Do, and I'm at Seoung University. Sorry about that. Qualitative research method has contributed unique depth of understanding. Understanding understanding the phenomenon in psychology in Korea. Despite the importance of qualitative research methodology and researchers emphasizing the need to conduct qualitative research, not many of the qualitative research have been done in psychology area in Korea. Fortunately, more researchers are conducting qualitative researches, and more trustworthy qualitative researches have been conducted recently. So to show that the qualitative researches have been expanded and developed in psychology area in Korea, I chose counseling psychology, one of the areas that qualitative researches are most needed and done. I chose 3 journals, which is most prestigious and popular in counseling psychology in Korea. Those journals are Korean Journal of Counseling, Korean Journal of Youth Counseling, and Korean Journal of Counseling and Psychotherapy. I have investigated how many qualitative researches have been conducted over the years, specifically how much qualitative researches have been improved and how various qualitative researches have been conducted. So as you can see in this graph, the number of qualitative research over the years. In 2000, in those 3 journals, there was no qualitative research has been done. From 2001, there are some publication of the qualitative research, and from 2010, about 2011, about 2 times more publication of the qualitative research was published compared to from 2000 to 2009. But still, as you can see, the numbers like 41, 31, and 29, the number of publication of the qualitative research is not many. And I will show you the table and graph. There are differences of a number of qualitative research in different areas. So I think it's good to see the graph. The pink one is the total number of publication. The number 1 publication area of qualitative research is phenomenology. And the second one is grounded theory. Third one is CQR. And narrative, FGI are doing some work. Researchers are doing some work. And ethnography, case studies are also following. So you can see the different areas of qualitative researches are being done. I'm moving to the associations, the various associations of qualitative research in Korea. I'm just showing some of the associations. So Korean Society for Cultural Anthropology was founded from in 1958. The Korean Society for the Study of Anthropology of Education was founded 1989. The Academy of Qualitative Research was founded in 1998. And also Korean Association for Qualitative Research was founded in 2002. The Korean Association for Qualitative Inquiry was founded 2003. And I'm seeing some of the association is being established right now, such as like Association of Grounded Theory and things like that. So nowadays, more attentions are being made to those associations. I want to introduce the Korean Society of Psychological Measurement. The Korean Society of Psychological Measurement is established in 2014 as a Division 15 of a Korean Psychological Association. And I'm also working there. And I did I was a president before. KSPM is a leading academic association of methodology, not only in psychology, also in social science in Korea. KSPM focus on qualitative and quantitative methodology. So I will introduce related activities of KSPM. The Korean KSPM opened the yard of Korean Psychological Association opened the yard of qualitative research at the annual conference from 2007. So qualitative, not many qualitative researchers were there. So several qualitative researchers are gathered and presented their researches. And also KSPM run some workshops and annual academic conferences. At the annual academic conferences, graduate students put the poster about qualitative researches. The exchange between Korean and Japanese qualitative researchers I will talk about. Japanese qualitative researchers, Sana-Oh, participate in the Yard of Qualitative Research in 2015. From 2018, the exchange for the joint conference started. And also in 2021, a joint academic conference of the Japanese and Korean qualitative psychology communities were held. So as you can see, this is our poster, and the theme was connect and get together. The date was it was held in on October 23rd in 2021. And keynote speech was done by Herbert Hermans, the digital self, dialogical self. So I want to introduce the 4 declaration and then finish the presentation. So at the closing ceremony, the presidents of both associations declared the joint declaration between KSPM and JAQP. So number 1, Korean Society of Psychological Measurement and Assessment and Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology prepared and hold an online joint academic conference due to COVID-19 pandemic. With this joint conference, the Korean and Japanese psychologists have shared the view of the importance of qualitative research and its unique role in methodology, and achieved the academic achievements. This joint academic conference announced the start of the academic exchange between Korea and Japan about the qualitative methodology in psychology. Especially, the successful exchange among young researchers became the big hope for the future of the academic exchange between 2 countries. 4, the presidents of both communities declared to continue and deepen the academic exchange in the future. So we last year, Japan and Korea got together and they tried to expand the qualitative research in our countries. Thank you very much. My presentation is finished. And also, because I'm an organizer, I will try to stop my presentation first. And now we will hear from Wei-Lun Lee, about the development
Yes.
of phenomenological inquiry in psychology in Taiwan. Please give a big hand to Wei-Lun Lee.
Okay, thank you very much. I will share my my screen. Okay, first. Okay. Okay, so you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I'm Wei-Lun Lee. I'm from Taiwan, and this is the topic I want to present today. And let me try to hide this. Okay. Due to the wide variety in qualitative research methods and the diversity regarding their forms and epistemologies, in this presentation, I would like to focus on the development of the phenomenological qualitative psychology in Taiwan. The fields of psychology in Taiwan, where most of the phenomenological qualitative researches have been concentrated, are indigenous psychology and clinical and counseling psychology. Both of them are benefited from the phenomenological approach as they bumped into difficulties with quantitative positivism. On the other hand, encountering the cultural issues, the DPQPT also resulted in a broadening of the phenomenological qualitative research. Last century, in the 80s, Guo Shuyang, the leading figure of the movement of indigenous psychology in Taiwan, claimed that Western psychology only one particular form of psychology and must not be seen as universally validated to human experiences. The discourse of dichotomy, addressing both the Eastern versus the Western and the particularity versus universality, then becomes the epistemological foundation for indigenous psychology in order to fight for space from positivism's pursuit for universal knowledge. With these main ideas embedded in the development of indigenous psychology, however, two difficulties can also be identified. First, trapped in the discourses of particularity versus universality, most indigenous psychological studies take specific cultural features as the marks of cultural differences, and therefore focus themselves on the exclusive characters of one culture from the other. And second, culture and the cultural phenomena are held as thing-like entities in order to define the Eastern and the Western, a view that is also difficult to be justified. As we can see, while the experienced cultural differences may legitimate the pursuit of indigenous psychology to adapt a view of that held culture and cultural phenomena as thing-like entities does not offer this pursuit a solid foundation. Accordingly, to take the meaning of being indigenous as back to the traditional culture should not be the only answer. Down back to the present life may be a more proper answer to the meaning of being indigenous in the days of global interaction. Phenomenology, in the sense of a way back to the experiential origin and back to the life world, can serve as a method to carry out this cultural practice and provide a new vision for indigenous psychology. If we take the Western-Eastern differentiation as the first enlightenment in reflecting the knowledge of psychology, taking down to the present life as the route toward indigenization can thus be viewed as the second enlightenment in the development of indigenous psychology in Taiwan. This phenomenological term is mainly the contribution of Dr. De Hui Yi, the pioneer of human science psychology in Taiwan. For him, the legitimacy of an indigenous clinical psychology is not at the traditional culture, but the connection to people's life at the present. So we can have a two model of indigenization. First, I call it the horizontal model of indigenous psychology. That means we shift from the Western culture, go to Eastern culture or Chinese culture in Taiwan. Okay, but the phenomenological route is go from the academic knowledge back to the present life. So it's become a vertical model of indigenous psychology. As a student of Dr. Yang, the vertical model is Dr. Yi's response to the call for indigenous psychology. As a clinical psychologist, Dr. Yi's major concern to indigenous psychology was facing loss in suffering, and then took the route of existential phenomenology. However, this back to the present strategy is not an easy task. According to Dr. Yi, the Western mainstream psychology makes the psychologist fly to the sufferer in front of them. To tear down the bracketing of scientific language, Dr. Yi suggested to go back to the language used in daily life where the sufferers lived. This is where the phenomenological qualitative research came into help. So in this diagram, we can see when we want to so-called go back to the present, we usually take the said, the lived, as a kind of a reality, as real thing. Then in traditional positive psychology, they will be taken into research with a linear causality, then become the theory to explain what is said, what's lived. But with the phenomenological point of view, those said and the live is coming from the saying, the living, the constituting process, and the phenomenological reduction, the phenomenological qualitative research is trying to go back to what the constituting process is. Okay. Phenomenological description does not jump into the said as a real thing, but come to the existential process of the saying, that is, the constituting process. This is precisely the route of getting back to the present by existential phenomenology. As language can have the said and the saying differentiation according to its essence, culture can also be seen with the cultured and the culturing differentiation. Culturing is that which makes the cultured be. It is the origin of the existence of the cultured. To hold culturing as the origin of constitution, however, is no stranger to the readers in Chinese world. In Dr. Zheng says, the Tao that can be told is not the absolute Tao. The name that can be named is not the absolute name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one sees the manifestations. The Tao that cannot be told and the name that cannot be named are the constituting origin of all things. The name here is language, but not the language as human production. It is the language, the saying, in Heidegger's point of view. Taking indigenization in the sense of back to the present life leads us to see the constituting meaning of culture, that is, the culturing. This can be called as a new indigenous psychology. The understanding to the culturing resonates the Taoist thinking, which recognizes the nameless, non-entity nature of Tao as the original constituting process. This is to say, existential phenomenology can help to clarify the confusing mess between the named and the nameless, and let the constituting force and the process indicate in Dr. Zheng be actualized as the target phenomena of modern psychology. The new indigenous psychology aiming at the culturing is not staying at the present, staying with culture and compatible to Chinese thinking. Phenomenological method help to construct the vertical model of indigenous psychology. And I have addressed my point in the book chapter as phenomenology as a method for indigenous psychology. And it's from the editor of Constance Fisher and Les Wing, Lepscher, and Roger Brooks, and from Duquesne University. And in the editor's introduction to my chapter, it says that phenomenology has been questioned and criticized by several academics for its supposed rootedness in a Western world and the intellectual tradition. At issue is both whether phenomenology can transfer to a diversity of cultures and the peoples, theoretical as well as methodologically. and what kind of modification can concern it need to be sensitive to if or when it does so. Wei-Lun Lee, that's me, tackles this issue and argues persuasively for a coming together for indigenous psychologists and phenomenology with changes and accommodations to both. For example, by referring the classical phenomenological code to experience in terms of culturing and as social practice, as opposite to phenomenal thing-like essence within a particular context. Lee argues that there is a robust space for phenomenology in diverse cultures and society. Okay, I have done it. This is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wei-Lun Lee. Please give him a big hand one more time for your wonderful presentation. Yes, the next presentation is the development of qualitative psychology in Chinese mainland. This will be presented by Jianhong Zheng, if my pronunciation is correct. Please give a big hand to Zheng, Dr. Zheng.
How to can you see this?
Not yet.
Can you hear from me?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. The topic of my report is the development of qualitative psychology in China.
Yes. Do you have a present PowerPoint?
Can you see this?
No.
No. Sorry. My report consists of the following 4 parts. 1, institutionalization construction, including the following 3 parts. 1, academic communication and conference. 2, academic journals. 3, academic organization. 2, talent training. 3, publication and achievements. 4, conclusion. The research of qualitative psychology in the Chinese mainland began in the mid-1990s, mainly in the form of psychobiography and narrative psychology. In 2007, to translate the Handbook of Psychobiography edited by Professor Schultz, qualitative psychology researchers on both sides of the Taiwan Strait initiated the first compilation. In 2009, Zheng invited Taiwan Federal University Professor Dean to Lina Normal University. There is the first face-to-face academic exchange on qualitative psychology across the strait. In 2011, and the 7th academic seminar for Chinese psychologists was held in academic Sinai, Taipei. When qualitative psychologists across strait presented a symposium on psychobiography. In 2012, the first course 3 seminar on life narrative and psychobiography was held at Lunghua University of Science and Technology, Taiwan. And the conference has been held for the 6th time since then. Since 2017, a larger scale national conference for qualitative psychology has been held in Zhangjiang, Suzhou, and Zhangzhou. In September 2022, the 4th annual meeting of the Professional Committee of Qualitative Research in Psychology of the Chinese Psychological Society and the 7th cross-street seminar on life narrative and psychobiography will be held in Lanzhou, Gansu Province. We welcome qualitative psychologists from all over the world to participate, including inviting well-known international scholars in the field of qualitative psychology to participate. Academic journals. In 2014, the Journal of Life Narrative and Psychobiography was founded in Taiwan, China, and the Chinese mainland. In 2019, the journal in the Chinese mainland was renamed Psychobiography and Qualitative Psychology. It adopts an anonymous review process and publish 2 issues every year. It has published 10 issues, including 92 papers on qualitative psychology. 3 life narrative and psychobiography hosted by Taiwan scholars still retains its original name. Academic organizations. In 2018, the Professional Committee of Qualitative Research in Psychology of the Chinese Psychological Society was approved to be established. The purpose of the committee includes the following 5 aspects. 1. Organize and facilitate academic exchange and cooperation with Hong Kong and Taiwan and international qualitative psychologists. 2. Organize and hold working meetings of professional committees, annual academic meetings, and workshops on psychological qualitative research skills. 3. Promote the publication of qualitative psychological research results and organize the translation and introduction of excellent foreign works. 4. Organize and promote the development, training of qualitative analysis software, and the promotion of related research results. 5. Organize and facilitate the development of scientific research, teaching activities, and related qualitative psychology courses. Talent training. At present, on the Chinese mainland, a total of more than 30 universities provide qualitative psychology courses. The Department of Psychology at Lina Normal University is one of the earliest to develop the undergraduate curriculum of qualitative psychology on the Chinese mainland. In 2008, Lina Normal University developed the first qualitative course, Instructing Psychobiography Research. Currently, the university provides undergraduate training courses for psychobiography, narrative psychology, and qualitative research methods for psychology. In recent years, more than 20 master's and doctoral dissertations have been completed with qualitative research methods and mixed methods on the Chinese Malay. In order to cultivate young talents, the Professional Committee of Qualitative Research in Psychology of the Chinese Psychological Society held the first Qualitative Research Ability Improvement Seminar in 2018. Publications, psychobiography. In the field of psychobiography, we have mainly done the following three aspects. One, to cover the mixed research model of psychobiography research. Two, the data processing method of key factors of growth is proposed and applied in counseling psychology, finding the psychobiographical therapy. Three, explore and build a new discipline system of psychobiography. Qualitative research in other areas of psychology. One, developing a dynamic model to explain the generation of low-income families using Grundy theory. Two, developing a conceptual framework to explain human God attachment in the process of Christian prayer. Three, using Grundy theory to reveal the internal and external protect factors of the psychological resilience of champion athletes. Four, using interpretative phenomenological methods and semantic analysis to explore the behavioral patterns. Conclusion. I have been devoted to the development of qualitative research in psychology in China for more than 20 years. The following insights come to me. One, qualitative research methods have advantage in producing new concepts and theories on the background of Chinese culture. Two, it is important to help beginners quickly familiarize qualitative research procedures. Thanks for your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Zheng. Please give a big hand to his wonderful presentation. Thank you. Now we will move up to the third, actually fourth presentation. The title of the presentation is History of Qualitative Inquiry in Japan. And this will be presented by Dr. Yasuhiro Omi. Please give a big hand to Dr. Omi.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and originally the first author, Professor Tatsuya Sato, he's currently president of the Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology. But he was supposed to make a presentation. However, he is the dean of the psychology department of his university, and he is currently chairing the meeting. So therefore, he created a PowerPoint file with audio and asked me to operate the PowerPoint and asked the software with the voice of the presentation, not me. And so let me try a new form of presentation. It may not be so new for some of you. Can you see that slide? Okay.
Yes.
But then the song.
Any problem?
The sound is coming clear.
Hmm.
Oh, you can hear that voice?
Yes.
No, no voice.
No. Okay, no
I
voice.
can.
Okay.
If you stop screen sharing and then when you hit screen share again, before you press share, there are two boxes you can tick in the bottom left-hand corner of the window that comes up, and that'll allow you to play sound while you're sharing.
But you have to get out of screen sharing first, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Not sharing the slide?
No, yeah, Yasu. Yeah,
Yep.
get right. And now if you get into this screen sharing box, when you start pushing, there are two boxes at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Share sound and optimize video for clip before you hit share.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No worries.
No harm done.
I can follow the new technology, so okay. Ooh. You can see the slide. Yes.
The slide is not in the mode showing to us. It should be. It's like to
Okay.
the lecturer. Yes.
Okay. No.
Or we just read it by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the way.
Okay. 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 Hmm?
That's it.
Can you see the slide?
Yes, yes.
And then can you hear the voice?
Very weak. It cannot really hear it.
Okay, can you hear the voice?
No.
No. Okay. I believe that not the no, I not and rely on the technology. So and this review describes the history of qualitative psychology in Japan as it developed during the 150-year period from the 1860s through the 2020s within the academic context unique to Japan. Japanese qualitative psychology reached the turning point in the 2000. That is, Japanese Journal of Qualitative Psychology was launched in 2002, and the Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology was established in 2004. In this presentation, we will trace the history of qualitative psychology, including the emergence of qualitative research in Japanese psychology before World War II. Is it okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. And this review describes the history of qualitative psychology in Japan as it developed during the 150-year period from the 1860s to the 2020s within the academic context unique to Japan. Japanese qualitative psychology reached a turning point in the 2000. That is, the Japanese Journal of Qualitative Psychology was launched in 2002, and the Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology was established in 2004. In this presentation, we would, okay, sorry about that. Oh. Modern psychology is said to have been established in 1879. Before that, there was the folk psychology, and Darwin's observational studies of children had been conducted. However, the quantitative turn began in psychology less than 20 years after the establishment of modern psychology, which focuses on experimentation. Next, in the 1940s, Allport advocated the importance of dealing with personal documents. Then in the year 1967, after World War II, three major events for qualitative inquiry occurred simultaneously. And the discovery of grounded theory, its methodology, and the phenomenological psychology are these. Then in 1980s, the restorations of meaning in psychology occurred. Brunner, Sabin, and Polkinghorne were the driving forces of these trends. Their ideas were in step with the history of science and philosophy of science at the time, which highlighted the limitations of positivism. Of these three, Brunner 1986 pointed out that there are two modes of human thought, the logical scientific or paradigmatic mode, and the narrative mode. That they are complementary rather than opposed. In the 1980s, qualitative inquiries sprouted in Japan, but we will touch on that later. First, let us look at the history of the development psychology in Japan and the place of qualitative inquiry within that history. After the Meiji Restoration, modern psychology was introduced to Japan from Western countries from 1877. Motora was the first person to hold professorship in psychology in Japan. He went to the United States to study psychology, and Stanley Hall and earned his PhD degree in 1888. In 1903, he organized the first laboratory of psychophysics in Japan. And in 1912, he helped his student to inaugurate the journal. psychological research. In December 1894, Motora attended the practicing Zen meditation for a week at the Enkakuji temple of the Rinzai-shu. He was given the koan task, the sound of the hand clapping and meditating upon it. He traced the movement of mind throughout the whole day while practicing Zen meditation and reported later. So Motora's report might be some kind of autoethnography. From the 1920s onward, several developmental studies based on observation diaries of one's own children emerged. Owaki Gichi conducted a study of his daughter's language development based on Stern's 1922 guide to the observation of language development. He argued that his daughter's soliloquies were social as well as egocentric. It was published in German language. The title means the first 2 years of the Japanese child's language development, a contribution to the psychology of children's language. After World War II, Tohoku University is one of the bases in qualitative inquiry. Junkichi Abe, the student of Tohoku Imperial University, will lead the qualitative exploration of post-World War II Japan. He dealt with folk psychology in his graduation thesis. And after World War II, he found culture in the poor farming village in the far north of Honshu, Japan. Because he came from an exalted lineage, and he was able to find culture in the opposite region. One graduate student of Tohoku University, Tatsuya Sato, studied at the University of Chicago. He wrote an ethnography of Bosozoku entitled Kamikaze Biker. Bosozoku is Japanese teenage gangs who race along urban streets in souped-up cars and motorcycles. The book had a pivotal impact on the history of qualitative inquiry in Japan. At the same year, Yasuhiro Minoru's Japanese children's cross-cultural experiences appeared. She learned the psychological anthropology at the UCLA and received PhD. She studied the cross-cultural adaptation of elementary and junior high school students who were born in Japanese families and immigrated to the US because of their parents' overseas transfers. Then Yoko Yamada's published Word Before Word using her own baby diary. The 1980s was the important turning point for qualitative psychology in Japan. The baby diary study group was established around developmental psychologist Yoko Yamada. It is a loose network of researchers who study development based on their own baby diary. They emphasized a relational perspective in which the object of observation and the observer influence each other. Ikuya Sato, Yasuko Minoru, and Yoko Yamada published a beginner's book on qualitative research from their respective perspective, which was welcomed by many students and graduate students in Japan. Since 1994, research using qualitative research methods in various fields of psychology was presented. in the Principles and Method section of the annual conference of Japanese Psychological Association under the heading Qualitative Research Method in Practice until 2004. By using the Japanese Psychological Association as a platform, it became possible for researchers from different subfields such as development to social society, etc., to gather together. And it also made it possible to bring together researchers in the field of cognition and culture for discussion. This group presentation continued for 11 years, resulting in 111 presentations, and may be regarded as a preparatory stage for the later Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology. In 2000, developmental psychologist Takashi Muto came up with the idea of launching a new academic journal dedicated to qualitative inquiry articles, and sent it invitation for researchers. As a result, invitation led to the launch of a new journal, which is in turn led to the establishment of the Japanese Association of Qualitative Psychology. Here is the example of articles published in inaugural issue of Japanese Journal of Qualitative Psychology. As the presentation draws the close, we would like to introduce some innovative qualitative research methods developed in Japan. And the most famous is the KJ method by Kawaki Tachiro, but others have also been devised. Like that. Last, not but the least, we would like to show you the situation of JQP now. Member is over 1,200 as of this May. And the association is strongly committed to international exchange. In 2021, the 18th annual meeting of JAQP was held with Korean colleagues as first Trans-Asia meeting on psychological method. Although the conference had to be held online due to the COVID-19, and leading Japanese and Korean researchers jointly declared that they would deepen their research exchange, particularly in qualitative research. And this presentation opportunity will help to further activate the network of qualitative inquiry. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Dr. Omi. I think we have, and please give a big applause again to Dr. Yasuhiro Omi. And we have 5 minutes left. If we have a quick question or comment, we will have one comment or question and then finish this session, if you have any.
I do have a quick comment. Thank you very much. This was very impressive because I think it gave us a really good lecture, at least us in the United States, about what is happening in the 4 nation states that you just presented with regard to the histories of qualitative research. And I think it's a great opportunity again to bring us more together, and in particular young researchers, now that we know more about these traditions. I think this is really fantastic. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think we will be finished this session, and then next session can be prepared. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great conference again. Bye.
Bye, and thank you for, again, for presenting.